So now the next thing we're going to go into is NFL Week 1. Week 1 is here, is over. We're getting ready to go to Week 2. This is Wednesday when I'm recording this. So the next game will be tomorrow night. My biggest takeaways from Week 1, the Chiefs are the best team in the NFL. They're only going to get better when Hollywood Brown comes back. They're locked in. There's no real weaknesses on their team. I mean, I thought they have the second best chance to win the Super Bowl before the season started. My pick, the Jets, not looking good. They were in my prospective Super Bowl. They played the Niners on Monday night. Niners are the next best team in the NFL. For them to do what they did to the Jets defense without Christian McCaffrey, who is widely regarded as the best running back in the NFL, or at least the most productive in the offense that he's in, they had a backup, and the guy gashed the Jets defense. That's something the Jets are going to have to work on. Is they're definitely going to have to work on their run defense. That right there is not going to get it done, because in this AFC Championship matchup that I think that is going to be the Jets and the Chiefs, we still got 16 games. I still believe the Jets will get there. The Chiefs will run the ball. Patrick Mahomes, all he cares about is winning the game. If he got to throw for 10 yards and Isaiah Pacheco runs for 250, he will hand the ball off to get that W. All that man cares about is winning. You don't see how he won these last couple of years? He's going to put up the numbers this year, but they'll run. So the Jets are going to have to address that run defense, because the Chiefs have all levels of offense, running, throwing, middle of the field, down the field. They have everything. So do the Texans. C.J. Stroud looked really good. The Texans are going to be tough. We saw Joe Mixon running the ball. So, the Jets are going to have to work on that run defense. Two things I forgot to add, actually, when I was going back and watching the first podcast, is for the Jets, there was two more items I felt like were going to kind of nudge them into that Super Bowl favorite category for me. I forgot to mention their schedule. They got a relatively easy schedule, and I think that's going to help them over the next few weeks, try to get some wins under their belt. I think Aaron Rodgers actually looked all right. I'm going to talk about him in a second. And the other thing, speaking of Aaron Rodgers, is a former favorite target of his. I forgot to mention this too. I really think the Jets are going to send like a first or second round. They might give up a first to get Devontae before the trade deadline. You got to remember, the Jets are all in. The entire organization, everybody except the owner is safe in this situation. Everybody's job is tied to being all in when it comes to having Aaron Rodgers out there. And I think they'll go get Devontae if they get the opportunity. So the Las Vegas Raiders are going to stink. You know what I mean? They're not going to be good. And why are you going to keep a future Hall of Fame receiver who came there to play with Derek Carr? That's the reason he went there, was to go play with Derek Carr. Derek Carr's not there. He's on the Saints. You don't think that they're willing to give up a first? Let me explain something. They'll give up whatever they got to give up just to get to the Super Bowl, just to be in the Super Bowl conversation. They get Devontae, that offense is going to be scary. And I think if before that happens, let's talk. But those are the two that I wanted to add. I think their schedule is going to make it so they get an easy 12 to 14 wins. That's the number of wins I think the Jets will have this year. And again, if this is your first time watching, you're like, oh, this guy's a Jets fan. No, I am not. I've never been a Jets guy. I'm a Giants guy. My team stinks, but I just think the Jets have a chance. And I would like to see the other New York team win a chip, but I'm basing this on my personal analysis. So as far as the game goes, you got a chance to see early on Aaron Rodgers going to Garrett Wilson, who's wearing number 5 now. I have my tinfoil conspiracy hat on. I'm like, oh, he changed from 5 so they could give 17 to Devontae when he gets here later on. And that's when I remembered I didn't get a chance to mention, I think they're going to go after Devontae later this season. But somebody else is wearing number 17 now. And the reason that he went back to 5 is because that was his number before. You know how it is with the tinfoil. So you saw early on, it was 3 straight third downs where Aaron Rodgers connected with Garrett Wilson. So like when the chips are on the line, it already looks like that connection is building and is strong. Mike Williams barely played. I don't even think I remember him getting any targets. I think he played like less than 10 snaps. Mike Williams has to get brought along. Breece Hall had a tough game, but you got to remember the Niners have one of the best defenses in the NFL. And Brock Purdy is no bum, and they got receiver talent everywhere. This is why I think the Niners are going to be the ones that represent the NFC. They looked really good. They looked sharp, and this is with Ayuk dropping a touchdown. This is with him not being all the way back yet. This is with no Christian McCaffrey, their best player on offense. This is the guy that ran it down everybody last year and was RB1 by like 100 points in fantasy football. He was the consensus like number one pick. Everybody knows Christian McCaffrey is a great player, and he was one of the highest paid running backs in the league when he plays a position that they don't really pay that well anymore, like compared to what they used to before. It's very hard for running backs to get paid, and we're going to talk about one of those in a second. It used to be my running back. So I think that once Mike Williams starts to get assimilated into the offense, it'll definitely be better. It was Aaron Rodgers' first game in almost a year and a half? He played 4 snaps last year. I thought it was crazy that the guy that injured him that was on Buffalo, I can't remember his name, he's also on the Niners. I said, nah, that's crazy. Imagine it happens again. You know that we in a simulation if that's the case. And they just don't want the Jets to ever do good. So I think the offense is going to get better. I'm not worried about the offense. My main concern is definitely the run defense. For you to let the backup running back, it's Jordan Mason. That's his name, Jordan Mason. It just clicked for me. To let the backup running back rack up over 100 yards on you, yeah, Debo ran it a little bit too, but Debo Samuel's not even a wide receiver. He's a wide receiver running back. He does both. He's always done both. He's really good at both of them. So, and that's that Shanahan run scheme. He has a run scheme that it just always seems that running backs excel in his run schemes. They got a great offensive line, and they have a lot of weapons to get some space. So you can't just stack the box against them. So the Niners, to me, look really, really good. The Lions barely beat the Rams. The Rams lost Puka Nacua to the IR, but Stafford was out there slinging it, man. Some of them no-look passes he had, the Rams are going to be annoying for a lot of teams, but the Lions did good. The Eagles did good. Packers lost Jordan Love. So for the NFC, it still looks like it's going to be the Niners. I don't really think anything changed as far as who's going to be the best team in the NFC after week 1 is definitely the 49ers, and that's without Christian McCaffrey. Imagine when they get him back. Imagine when Ayuk gets back into the flow of the game. Team is going to be tough. Packers, we'll see what happens with this Jordan Love injury. The Eagles, I never had a doubt the Eagles are going to score a lot of points. I just don't know if they're going to have any defense to try and slow down another team. You never know. They could go in and outscore somebody, but I don't think their defense is good enough. And that's the NFC. The AFC picture, the Ravens clearly have issues as far as their offensive line is concerned. You saw Lamar Jackson running for his life, it felt like. It was basically like run around, take off for 10 yards. I don't know if a part of it was that he felt like he didn't run enough during the AFC Championship game last year, but he did a lot of running. He ran it way more than Derrick Henry, and they're going to have to look at how they make that work. I forget who the announcer was, but he brought up a good point that Derrick Henry is used to taking his snaps out of like under center quarterbacks, right? Like I formation. So basically what that means is you have the offensive line and the quarterback is right there behind the offensive lineman to take the snap and hand it off. So that might be messing with their rhythm or, trying to get the hang of things because Lamar Jackson likes to play a lot out of the shotgun. So they're going to have to make that work. Zay Flowers looked good. Isaiah Likely looked good. But clearly the Chiefs are way better. I know it was only like they got to where the game was, Isaiah Likely's toe was, out of bounds. Like it could have tied the game and they had a chance to go for 2. But I think throughout that game, the Chiefs were clearly the better team. And this is with them just getting Isaiah Worthy going. Guy touched the ball 2 times. Feels like he scored a touchdown. And he got a couple other receptions. But you see the type of electricity that he brings to that offense. They're going to be all over the place. And because he's on the field, you saw firsthand. Now, they chose to take Kelsey away. Kelsey had those 11, I forget how many receptions he had in the AFC game last year in the championship, but Kelsey was the one that put him down. They said, nah, bro, you're not doing it to us. Rashee Rice was running all over the middle of the field wide open. And that's because they're able to stretch the field more now. Imagine when Hollywood comes back. Another guy to stretch the field. This offense is going to be scary. And their defense looked okay. You started to see that they do miss L'Jarius Sneed. We'll see if people start to pick it up in replacing him. I mean, McDuffie's a great corner. He was an All-Pro last year. But it's about when you have that tandem. See, that's the thing. With defense, with cornerbacks, this used to happen to Revis all the time or Dion or whoever. You just throw to the other side of the field. So if you have like an all-time great or top of the league receiver, you just put him on him. And, you know, some corners don't travel. Revis would travel. It just basically erase that player. But guess what? You just throw to somebody else. As like, yo, do you have somebody that can beat the second or third corner on their team? You know, that's what we're going to find out about the Chiefs. We saw them, you know, attack them a little bit. The Lions had a couple of their corners attacked by the Rams. So you start to see, like, offensively how you try to go after a defense. As far as the Texans go, I think the Texans are going to be tough. So I would say coming out of the AFC right now, it's going to be the Chiefs, the Texans. Jets not going to be up there yet. But, you know, we got some time. We're going to see them work through. And then for my week one breakout performance, got to go with my former running back, Saquon Barkley. As soon as he went to the Eagles, I felt like he was just going to have a monster productive year. They paid him. Like, again, running backs don't get paid as easily as they used to. And they paid him. And that offense is going to be moving up and down the field. He's going to have an opportunity to put up a huge year. But the game ball got to go to Tyreek Hill, man. You know, the Jaguars couldn't catch him. That man ran into the house for 80 yards. They had the celebration ready to go. Waddle came over and cuffed Tyreek. Yeah, that was an interesting 180 from where he was not too long before that. So my game ball was going to go to Anthony Richardson for the play of the week. That throw he made, you got to look it up, man. He threw the ball like off his back foot for 60-something yards on a route, landed right in the receiver's hand. I said, nah, this guy's talent is out of control. If he's somebody that could learn to, like, break down the defense, he's going to be – he looks like one of those up-and-coming quarterbacks that somebody I spoke to recently reminded me I forgot to mention when I talked about up-and-coming quarterbacks in the first episode. But, yeah, nah, he's legit. His talent is he's up there. It's like he was made in the lab. But let's see here. That's Saquon, Tyreek. But, yeah, it's got to go to Tyreek after everything that happened to him. Now we'll talk quickly about my bets that I had for week one. Unfortunately, definitely took a loss on week one, did not come out ahead. It wasn't too bad because I ended up with a bunch of free bets, but the strategy that I had to try and take advantage of that basically broke even, so it's like it didn't really work out too great. But that's how it is. It's variance involved. Once, you know, week to week. Now, next week, I'm gonna start looking at everything for week two soon. Once they put all the props up, and then I'll post whatever I feel like is the best ones later in the week before Sunday on my Twitter. Yeah, so we'll see how we could do for that. Now, let me